I met my biological father at 33 years old. You know what I'm saying? And we hit it off. Because I mean, all of the things that preceded wasn't even an issue no more. I've done well for myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's always that void. That void. Like I was raised by my grandparents. You see, my mom when I came in. My mother's my sister. Me and my mother, like everybody on 40th Street, 116th from back in the 70s, whatever. Everybody know Cal Hawkins. You know what I'm saying? My mother was my sister. Literally, my grandmother's my mother. You know what I mean? That's the kind of relationship I had with my mother. My mother would trick me into certain things, telling me somebody did something to her. I run down, bang, 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 whatever, whoa, and then she going in his pocket. I'm like, yo, you just made me accessory. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny now, you know what I'm saying? But
but back then it's like,
back then it was just like,
crazy.
yo, what's up with us? So like, just to let you know that even with my mom's, one thing she never did while we was in the street was jeopardize my life. And she made a very, very, terrible decision that almost cost me my life.
Which was?
I was in a situation where, I was doing some things for some very nefarious people I was dealing with, and it was definitely some larceny in the whole play. So for example, it's like, you get a spot rocking, everything is, doing what it's supposed to be doing, and next thing you know, you get hit with something that look like chewing gum. You can't give it back. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
These are power plays.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So now, while I'm struggling with this situation, Cal Hawkins is robbing everything that's moving. So it's like you really putting me in a deeper rut. So now I got to answer, to this arrangement that I agreed to.
Right.
You put me in a very awkward situation that could have been detrimental. You know what I'm saying? So I remember me and I had this conversation. I told her, I said, listen, man, you ain't never did that. Like, you've done some memorable, legendary things out here in the street that we could all laugh at when the smoke cleared. But like this right here was something you never did. So I'm gonna make a pact with you, man. If you stop getting high, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna stop hustling. And we both been clean since. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
That's what's up.
Since. You know? Yeah. So, with that being said, it's like, when I look at other people's struggles within their family structure, I can always reflect on mine and have, empathy for, someone who may have endured something worse.
Right.
It's not the same or worse. But the thing is, like, like, when does it stop, man? It's because, like, I invest a lot of my time speaking to the youth. And what I find is what you said, when a man is not present, young men, they go on these tangents. They spiral, And women, by nature, don't really have the ability to fulfill both these roles, because you can't be a nurturer, a cultivator, and a disciplinary all in one breath. It's like is a contradiction in those emotions. It's like nurturing and cultivating is something that's soft, warm, inviting, but the disciplinary is something that's stern, harsh, and firm.
Yeah.
It's
confusion.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those roles have to be shared. So, being able to identify with trauma is something that I attribute to trying to reach a lot of the youth out here. Because all these problems start at home. All these problems start at home, And,
What do you think would change things indefinitely? I got one suggestion.
I want to hear your suggestion first. I'm gonna tell you what I think.
When a kid gets charged, his parents do too.
That might be a little harsh. Because I just did. I just came from doing 9 years for a conspiracy that had very, very little to do with it.
Right, but that's as a grown man. I'm talking about, you know, the young boys that's running around out here and they getting into shit. And you know the reason they're getting into shit is because there's somebody in the household not. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
No.
Not necessarily true.
I'm not saying it's perfect.
No.
Because there's a lot of situations that can make that, you know, just not really justify, but explain why that condition even exists. But I think parents would take it a little bit more seriously.
On a case-by-case basis, I can see how that would work. On a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm thinking of the parents who are busting their ass
And not home.
and not home.
Right.
Now they get charged, they lose their jobs. Now everybody in the house fucked up.
Yeah.
Mom, everybody fucked up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's certain things that's already put in place that's a trap. Yeah. And that's why I say, you know, on paper that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But and I mention this a lot to a lot of communities that I talk to. 'Cause I speak to a lot of Muslim youth, non-Muslim youth, but just to give you an example, a lot of the Muslim youth, they're born and raised Muslim. Majority of them. Like I can give a talk and say by show of hands, how many of you born and raised Muslim? 98% of them raise their hand.
Right.
How many of y'all was raised with both y'all parents in the house? Maybe 90-some% raise their hand. So at that point, I'm allowing them to see visually that you have very limited excuse. You know what I'm saying? You have very limited excuse because you come from structure. Now the flip side of that is the environment that we know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even if that structure is put in place the way we know it to be, father working, mom's working, literally, a child may spend 8 hours a month corresponding with their parents under those conditions. Because you out 8 hours.
Right.
Mom's out 8 hours working. You in school 8 hours.
Right.
If y'all not having dinner at the table, y'all probably just walking past each other in the house. You know what I'm saying? So there's no real correspondence that takes place in the house. There's no, you know what I'm saying, random lessons being given by a father. Man, come here, man, sit down for a minute, man. I want to talk to you about something. Those things don't really exist because the stress and strife that comes with the demand to maintain financial stability in the home, it just overrides all of the other things that are true necessities. You know what I'm saying? And trying to find balance in that, in some cases, is impossible.
Yeah, you just
You know what I'm saying?
plug in holes in a leaky boat.
Yeah,
Especially
so that
with technology.
It's not gonna work.
Technology
Yeah,
being in
now
the household.
technology
compete
is
with
like
that too.
Yeah,
That's
technology.
the new parent.
Yeah, technology is another set of parents.
Right.
So now you're competing with another set of parents.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Speaking of parents, just to spin back, did you ever squash things with your other dad? The one you was about to take around the corner?
No, he died. He died, you know. I went to his funeral, paid my respects, whatever case may be. And I never got real closure. And I think that, you know, my grandmother, she told me he was hurt. But at that time, 'cause my grandmother was a different type of breed. You know, she comes from a different generation. They can find empathy in everything. You know what I mean? But when you're a child that's been carrying this burden, and even though it's been sufficed by the presence of my grandparents, it still can't be undone, you know? So in that moment, I felt like, you know, he missed his opportunity. And he actually requested to see me on his deathbed, and I didn't go. And for a long time, I used to, you know, wonder like, what he would have said, you know what I'm saying?
Why?
What he would have, you know,
Why didn't you
what
go?
effort would he put forth?
Why didn't you go?
To be honest with you, I didn't feel he deserved it. I didn't feel he deserved it
At the time.
at the time.
Your perspective changed though since then. Your perspective
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, now I understand the rights of a father. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Through Islam, I understand that a father's rights is never relinquished. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that understanding before. I had anger.
And his crime was working too much? Like not being around you?
Nah, he wasn't working. He was He was in the trenches. He was doing him.
I'm not talking about your biological.
Oh.
Well, which one was you gonna drop off around the corner? Was that the biological or the one who raised you?
Neither one of them raised me.
But you know what I mean? The one your mother
well,
told
the one
you was.
that I assumed to be my dad, he was the one that I had a heightened sense of resentment for.
Yeah.
Because
his
I mean, to
absence.
this day, I can still remember standing by the door in the whole one-piece snowsuit with the snap-on mitts, just standing there waiting, burning up, sweating. Grandmother like, you know, why don't you just take it? No, he coming. I remember this stuff.
Yeah.
This stuff never goes nowhere. You know what I'm
Sitting on
saying?
the stoop.
Yeah. So it's like, I honestly at the time didn't think he deserved it. Did I have some regrets? Yeah, because I probably wanted to hear what he had to say, but I just didn't think he deserved it. It could have been anything. Could have been, you know, a genuine apology, or it could have been, yo, take 10 paces, turn right, dig right there. You know, I don't know what it could have been. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the time, I didn't feel like he deserved it. You know, and like I said, as I got older and finding out at the end of it all, he wasn't really my father. It wasn't really a
Did he know that?
Huh?
Did he know that?
I'm sure he did.
Mm.
I'm sure he did.
And
Could
that
that have
played
been
a
the
role.
reason? Could that have been the reason for the divide?
I mean, it could have been, man. Cal Hogan's a piece of work, man. It's like, you know. Cal Hogan, she has a way, man, where, you know, she can bring the best out you, you know, the worst out you, know.
How did you find out though? Was it any type of blood test?
Nah, wasn't no blood test. Wasn't no blood test. But I mean, it was something that was always known. I come from a family that they are experts at keeping secrets. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's
Even
something.
from each other.
Yeah, but I think that's something that also contributes to a lot of our trauma.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
definitely.
I agree with
The
that.
withholding of certain
withholding
things
of
that,
information, yeah.
information that, you know, could definitely help us, you know, assess things better. You know, if you only knew. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
That wasn't your father. If you'd have known that
Anything.
earlier.
Anything. I'm always learning something late.
This hot full trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf you heard.